The Giant Clam. Once upon a time, there was a place called the Sea of Clams. It was called this because the Sea of Clams had more clams than any other place in the world. There were more clams here than trees in the Amazon rainforest. And some of the clams here grew so big that they were as wide as you were tall and weigh as much as 5 Georges. George is a human from Earth. He weighs around 100 pounds. These giant clams were not only large, but they also had something very special inside of them, a large pearl. The first people who discovered this place many years ago thought that the Sea of Clams was very, very special, so they asked the leaders of the world to protect it. The leaders agreed, and as a result, no one was allowed to take any of the clams from the Sea of Clams away. But one day, 6 divers sneakily jumped into the Sea of Clams. They dove to the sea floor and began looking around. They were looking for giant clams and their large pearls. It did not take the divers very long to find the giant clams, since they were very, very large and could easily be seen. The 6 divers lifted a giant clam off the sea floor and brought it to their boat. Then they came back for more. In total, they stole 5 giant clams before leaving. They left the clams beside an island nearby and decided to come back for more the next day. The next day, the divers spent the morning looking for giant clams and quickly found 3. As they were looking for the 4th clam, they came upon a large hill. On this hill, there was a giant clam. They swam over, ready to take it away. But suddenly, the hill began to shake and rise. Looking closely at the hill, they could see a giant mouth opening. The hill's mouth opened wide and sucked 3 of the divers into its mouth. The other 3 divers, afraid they would get eaten too, tried to swim away from the large mouth. But large tentacles shot out from the giant mouth, grabbed onto the 3 remaining divers, and swallowed them. Suddenly, a person dove into the sea and down to where the giant creature was. He began to blow bubbles at the creature. The creature blew bubbles back at the man. They were communicating. After a few more bubbles, the giant creature opened its mouth and spat the 6 divers out. The man then brought the divers up to the shore. When the divers woke up, they were all tied up. They were all very surprised and wondered why they hadn't become lunch for the large creature. They had many questions. The man who saved them slowly answered their questions. He told them that the creature that had swallowed them was an ancient, very, very old, giant clam that had been alive for thousands of years. The man told them that he was from a village that was friends with this ancient clam. The clam had been alive even before the village was created. Since the villagers had known this clam for so long, they were able to learn how to communicate with it. He told them that the only reason why they were not eaten was because he had made a promise with the old clam. He promised that if the clam didn't eat the divers, he would make sure they would never be seen in the Sea of Clams again. And if the divers ever came back, the clam would be allowed to eat them. The man brought the divers to the police, and they were put into jail. The clams were returned, and as promised, the divers were never seen in the Sea of Clams again. The end.